Hey everyone, Belinda Goodrich, President of PM Learning Solutions, and this is update video number 3. And I am providing you with updates regarding the Project Management Institute, PMI, and how some of these changes are impacting how you take your credential exams. So the first update was on the switch from Prometric to Pearson VUE. That went into effect on July 1st. Had some implications. So there are definitely some significant changes there. So check out video number 1 for that. The second big change was on the Certified Associate in Project Management certification exam. Those changes will go into effect in September. And last but not least, now I am going to share information about the Project Management Professional, the PMP credential, which we know is the one credential from PMI that has the most credential holders, and we know it is incredibly sought after still by professional project managers. So some big changes to know. So I'm going to give a little bit of a backstory on this, just so you understand where do these changes come from. Every couple of years, the PMP exam will change, and there's 2 reasons why it changes. Either we have a new PMBOK guide, which we're currently on the 6th edition, or in between PMBOK guide updates, there's what they call a role delineation study. Now, traditionally, those role delineation study PMP exam updates, I wouldn't say have been completely significant. They're not insignificant by any means, but they're not massive overhauls. We were expecting the same for the one this year. We were probably all surprised, any of those of us who provide training courses or write courseware or write books on the exam, about the extent of the changes that will be happening in December. So the first big change is that instead of grouping the questions by domain or process group, so initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing, that's how the domains are split right now. On December 15th, it's going to switch to people, process, and business environment. So 3 domains or 3 different areas now versus by process group. So I'm looking at my notes here. People will be 42% of your test items. So people, 42%. Process will be 50%, so half your test. And then business environment will be 8%. Now, they do make a note that they are going to split the questions relatively down the middle on predictive environments, what we would call your traditional project management waterfall, and 50% coming from adaptive environments, so agile, incremental, and iterative development. So you're going to get a 50-50 mix of that, which right now it has definitely leaned more towards predictive with a sprinkling in of agile. So that's a pretty big change. So not only the domain changing, but also that 50-50 split. Now, personally, I agree with these changes. I think it is much more reflective of our real life work in projects. I also believe that split between predictive and adaptive is appropriate because we're seeing more and more organizations that do hybrid approaches. Some projects might be good for predictive, some projects might be better for adaptive. And so this is really acknowledging that and recognizing that. Now, the PMP exam has always been based on the PMBOK guide and, quote, other relevant sources. So it's a little bit of a guessing game what those other relevant sources are. So it is important to stay up to date on your learning and understanding of project management practices and theories. So it's not all PMBOK guide based. It's all of the other stuff that's going on out there as we mature our project management theories, practices, and approaches. When you think about the question changes, how is this going to affect the questions other than those domains? PMI provides us with the examination content outline, the exam content outline, the ECO. So what we do as a training provider and also as an author of self-study materials is we will go through line by line all the different tasks, and we'll see how they line up between the current version of the exam and the new version. And we'll identify any spaces that are new, any tasks that are new, any competencies that are new, and then we make sure we build them into the materials. One thing that I think is going to be a pretty big departure is that business environment. So that 8% of your questions coming from that's stuff that in a lot of resources that I've seen hasn't really been addressed as it relates to the exam. So things like compliance, business benefits on your projects. That's another area that I think is so important for us to have discussions around. So, it's always interesting when an exam change comes down. PM Learning Solutions is a registered education provider of PMI. That doesn't mean we get any special insight. We get the same information everybody else does. We've just learned from multiple rounds of doing these updates where we think PMI is and how do we best prepare project managers to be successful on their exam. So we have a whole team established. We're looking through everything, identifying the appropriate resources, and we'll make sure that we're ready to serve you when that time comes. I would advise you, if you're not using us as a training provider or using any of my self-study materials, just validate any materials you buy if you'll be testing after December 15th align with this new change because it is significant. Again, I'm excited about the changes. I love the fact that we are moving away from this being a test of memorization, which proves absolutely nothing, to a true test of competency, understanding, and being able to apply these theories in a question set of 200 questions. So exciting updates, a lot of work ahead of us. PM Learning Solutions will have new materials out there. I'll have my self-study book and our other materials, our exam simulation tests, all updated obviously prior to the change. And again, if you have any questions on this or how it impacts you, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or reach out to my team. We're happy to serve and we're excited about some updates that are coming down. So we're here and we're ready. Best of luck on your credentialing exam. Again, I'm Belinda Goodrich, PM Learning Solutions.